Hello everyone, Equipment War here, and welcome to my build guide for my new and improved custom crit ranger. I'm gonna do the usual. I'm gonna start with my passive skill tree, then I'm gonna go over to my Ascendancy skill tree, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my gear and the gems I'm using. And as always, if you have any questions about the build, feel free to ask me in the comments. So let's get started. Starting as a ranger. You can do this as a shadow, but I'm gonna go more on that later. I start by taking the evasion and life, all of these nodes here, to get to fitness. After taking that, I recommend taking all of this projectile damage here, ballistic mastery, and if you need, take Heart of Oak. Heart of Oak actually fulfill a dual purpose. It actually reduces the chance for you to get stunned. It even give you life and life again. Moving on. I went down this way, and if you want, you can take a quick step to get some movement speed and attack speed. You can, because attack speed is really important in a custom crit build. I went this way, and then I went down here, and I'm going to take all of this life here when I have leveling up more. So I'm just going to take this one here, and this life node here. I took King of the Hill for that good amount of crit chance. I went all of this way here to take a Cloak and Chain for more protection and some elemental resistance. I have Golem's Blood. I'm going to take this life node here when I'm leveling up more. I took Bravery, Fury Bolt, and Art of the Gladiator. I'm going to take this life when I'm leveling up more. This build is actually an Iron Reflexes build, so all of my evasion is converted into armor instead of evasion, because in higher level I don't like evasion that much. I don't use evasion anymore in any of my builds, so I just go in Iron Reflexes every time I make a build like this. But you can use evasion if you want, but I'm gonna go with that in just a second. But I prefer Iron Reflexes because it's more stable. Moving on, I went down here to take a Lichery. I only take Lichery and all of these nodes here for the crit chance. And it's actually 90 crit chance in total when you have all of those. The critical strike multipliers, like these ones, do not apply to spells, so there's no reason to take them at all. You can take them when you're leveling up for more damage on your regular skill, but I just prefer to take these nodes here. I have Essence Up, which are the only way I can get back mana in this build. This is the only mana nodes I have taken, and it works just fine to get all your mana back. So you don't need more than Essence Up. Maybe some gear to regenerate your mana, but it's almost not needed. And then I'm using two rules in this build. I'm gonna go with the other one in a second. I'm using Volifier, which first of all, it gives me increased projectile damage, so it actually applies to spells, and I should have said that before. Projectile damage also apply to projectile spells, not AoE spells, but projectile spells. So it's actually a dual purpose. And you need 50 all allocated dexterity in the radius for this one to actually work. And it fires 2 projectiles simultaneously in the first and the final attack. So you actually fire more projectiles in your barrage, which means more hits, which means more crits, which means more eye for the enemy. And as you can see, I have 1 dexterity here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's 50 dexterity allocated. I also took Survivalist for more survivability. Also have a Heartseeker for critical strike multiplier. It's really nice, and also for the crit chance. So this one is really good, and I actually think that it have been buffed actually. So it actually gives 40% increased critical strike multiplier. These are very good. If you want to do an evasion character, just take acrobatics, all of these acrobatics improvement, and face acrobatics. If you want to do this character as an evasion character instead. Moving on. I went up to the shadow area and I took Blood Wrinkle. Give me a small amount of life back when I'm hitting enemies with my arrows, which it's not a big difference actually, but it gave me a good amount of life. And here you can see I have another Volifier, and as you can see I have this dexterity here, this one and this one. And the last dexterity I'm gonna get, it is from depth perception, which actually give me crit chance, 20% increase, 20% dexterity, and some nice accuracy. I took a nullification, sniper, cold-hearted calculation, assassination, trickstery, blood siphon, and cold-hearted calculation. Blood siphon actually give me more life back than blood wrinkle, because when you're killing a lot of enemy, you're getting life back because of this one. So this one actually more important for getting life back than blood wrinkle. Moving on, I went up here to take written in blood. I took all of these spell crit strike chance notes and the spell critical strike multiplier, which are really useful in this build because your spell is going to have a good amount of crit chance as well. And I'm going to take Doom Cast when I'm leveling up next time. And that's pretty much my skill tree. If you have any questions about the skill tree, or if you think I have missed something, please let me know. So let's take a look at my Ascendancy skill tree. I choose to be a Deadeye, which are the best choice if you're playing a Ranger. And I have ascended 2 times. I don't have time to ascend it the 3rd time, but I'm going to do that. The first thing I recommend you take is the projectile damage and attack speed. The attack speed is really helpful. And even the projectile damage actually are applying to your projectile spells. I took fast and deadly, which are very nice. Good projectile speed, projectile damage, and really nice attack speed. And the most important thing of them all, Ricochet. Skill change one more time, which are huge. That's applied to your spells, so your spells will fly between enemies and hit them multiple times, and it will do absurd amount of damage, and it's no downside at all to have this one. This one is amazing. It is the first priority if you ascend with this character, to try to get to Ricochet. It's amazing. The other one I'm going to take this projectile damage and critical strike chance to get to powerful precision. Enemies you're shooting at close range will guaranteed get pierced, and movement, and yeah, they will guarantee get pierced, and it will lose the chance as the projectile travels far. And projectile critical strike chance is increased by the arrow pierce chance, so you can actually take a pierce chance in the skill tree and all of that to actually even more increase your crit chance if you have this one. And that's pretty much my Ascendancy skill tree. If you have any questions about the Ascendancy and all of that, please let me know. So let's go over our gear then. I'm using Wind Ripple, which are my weapon, which are pretty much the best bow you can use for a build like this. Other good bows you can use, which are much more cheap on this one, because this is the most expensive one, but it is actually the best one as well. So it's depending what you have. But other bows you can use, which are Quill Rain, which have 2 really big benefits. It is a very, very fast bow. It's actually the fastest weapon in the entire game. It has an absurd amount of attack speed, but it also have an absurd amount of projectile speed. So your projectiles will hitting the enemy lightning fast. It's a very fun bow to use, and it works really well. The only downside with it is just a normal bow. It have no increased crit chance. It just have its based 5% crit chance, which are very low, but you will make up for that in just absurd amount of projectiles you will firing with it. The next bow you can use, it is Doomfletch. It's just an overall good bow. It have good crit chance and it have good attack speed. It's a very cheap bow as well. I think you can get it for like 1 alteration. So it's a very cheap bow. And even Quill Rain is just a really, really inexpensive bow. So both of those bows are very, very cheap. Moving on. The gloves I'm using Malagor's Visor, or whatever they are called. This is the best freaking gloves you can have for a build like this, but you don't have to have them. You will crit less and you will do less damage, but you can use a rare gloves for more protection, and it will be cheaper to use. Because these gloves are really expensive, but you don't have to have them. You can try to get a pair of rare gloves which just have attack speed on them and some life and other resistance. That would work just fine, but not as good as this one. I'm using just a diamond ring here. It's not the best ring at all, but it works for what I'm using it to. And the good thing with this one, it is actually a diamond ring, so it will actually increase my crit chance. So try to get a diamond ring at least for your build. We are using Rat's Nest, which are pretty much the best helmet you can use. It have a really nice crit chance, really nice attack speed, it gives you item rarity, increase your movement speed, a really good amount of evasion, and it also makes your character smaller, as you can see, which are, well, it's not a bad thing if you ask me, it just looks fun. I'm using this amulet here, which have really nice resistance and life. It have a nice amount of intelligence, which I need to my spells, and a good amount of life. So it's just a really nice amulet. If you can get the amulet with crit chance and crit multiplier, that's even better. And again, nothing special with this ring here. Just some life and resistance. I actually have some intelligence on it because I need it to my spells. And I'm using this quiver here. You can use other quivers, but try to get a quiver, the crit quiver with with another crit multiplier, with another crit chance on it, so it gives you a max as high crit chance as possible. And try to get one with a crit multiplier as well, and even some life. You need to get some life on it as well. If you can get some resistance, that's even better. I'm using these boots here, again defensive boots. These boots are not the best. They give me a good amount of life and resistance, but it doesn't have any movement speed, which is sad. Again, a really defensive belt here, give me a good amount of resistance and life. And that's pretty much my gear. If you have any questions about the gear, or if I forget something, please let me know. So, let's talk a little bit about the gems I'm using. The gems I'm using, there are an absurd amount of combination you can use with the custom crit. But the most important thing, which are my barrage, and I have a level 1 barrage. Do not level up barrage. It will just cost more mana, will pretty much not doing anything for you. Barrage is the best skill because it's a very fast skill and it fires a lot of arrows. And I have another video when I'm trying out some different bow skills. You can use different bow skills, especially tornado shot, but barrage is probably the best choice you can use. And then you need a constant critical strike, which are really easy to get. I think you even can get it as a quest reward. And a greater multiple projectiles, which you also can get as a quest reward when you progress through the game, so you don't need to trade that. However, the spells I'm using right now, as you saw in the intro, it is the most powerful setup I know, which are Fireball, Arctic Breath, and Arc. But there are a lot more setups you can use, and just experiment with the setups and you will find some other setup you like, and there are many fun setups to use as well. I have listed some of them here on the video, but there are a lot more, and you can probably find some setup you really like. Then the other things, I have just some random gems in. All of the other gems is just some random stuff I have. I have a Bladeful, which actually works really well as a spell. I have Assassin's Mark, which I sometimes use if I want to crit even more. I have my auras I'm using, it is Grace and Herald of Ice. You don't have to use Herald of Ice, you can use something else like Herald of Lightning, or you can use whatever you want. I just like to use Herald of Lightning because it increases your spell's damage, and the enemies explode when they get frozen, which are hilarious if you ask me. Now some other random stuff. I'm using a blink arrow, which are really important. If you are surrounded all that, just fire a blink arrow and you are away from that. So blink arrow is pretty much a must-have in a build like this, or pretty much in every single mobiles you can think about. I have a clarity if I'm gonna run a map which have reduced your mana regen, so I'm using clarity for that. Also have a Summoning Ice Golem, which I sometimes use if I want some more crit chance and accuracy. And I almost forgot to tell about this armor here. Just nothing special at all with the armor. It has some life and resistance and some intelligence. And that's pretty much all my gems. If you have any questions about the gems and setups and all that, feel free to ask me in the comments. And I hope you guys like this video, and I see you guys all next time. And thanks for watching.